I just, for the purpose of our viewers, want to read out something that was on one of your slides during your presentation yesterday, during this launch of the anti-corruption campaign. And its headline says, "Organized crime against the sick, what a shame. We have well-crafted designs for organized crime that have infested our society like rats." These, I guess you're not mincing your words with regards to where you stand. Talk to us about the church's posture with regards to corruption.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Indeed, you are quite correct. We are at a point in the history of this country where if we want to speak powerfully, we must speak plainly, because what we find is not simply an isolated incident of somebody taking some money somewhere. We see networks that in some way find a way to organize themselves so well that they're able to access the resources that are supposed to defend our people, the resources of where people are supposed to be protected and be able to find a way to be, their health to be protected and their lives are at stake. Yet those who are well organized and well connected find it possible for them to get into that chest of money that was supposed to be there for the protection of our people. In other words, the vulnerable, the weak, and those who are defenseless end up losing lives, end up sleeping hungry, end up being unable to be protected against this coronavirus disease, because some people somewhere found it easy, found it possible to take that money which is supposed to protect them. There is no defense for that, because you are not stealing money, you are putting the lives of our people at risk.
We heard yesterday Bishop Siwa saying that people, citizens, must rise and push away the dark cloud of corruption. When he says rise, what does he mean by that? Are we calling for mass protests here? What are we talking about?
What we're talking about, we are not calling for mass action, mass protests and people going to the streets, precisely because we know that we are facing another pandemic, the pandemic coronavirus. So there is no call for people to go into the streets, but there is a call for people to rise up in making the corrupt uncomfortable in our spaces. And that means if I sit at my house and my wife comes in and my wife tells me that she has bought a new Mercedes-Benz that is R1 million, and I know that there's no way she would have gotten that money in legal ways, I should be able to say to her, wait a minute, how is it that in a short space of time you're able to bring in so much resources when we know you should not be getting these resources? In the churches we are at, as communities, we're asking for people to rise up and stand and say, in churches, we are not going to make the corrupt comfortable. We are going to make them feel at home. As a result, as part of the campaign, as the SACC, we are saying that every church door must have a message of discomfort for those who are corrupt. We are on a campaign to say every church door must have a poster, and that poster must say, corruption is not us. Corruption is a sin. Corruption is theft. Corruption is robbery, because we need to make sure that those who come into those walls do not find themselves comfortable. We are intending on the 15th of July, as the church leaders, the church, for now only church leaders, because we want to keep to the rules of COVID-19, that church leaders will be asked to go and have a silent protest against corruption in places of public accountability, where we as church leaders in every space that we find ourselves, whether it is in municipality, whether it is in parliament, whether it is in legislatures, they should go there and on the 15th of September stand there and tell the nation and tell those in power that corruption is not who we are, and therefore we are going to stand up against corruption. We are going to make the corrupt uncomfortable.
At whose feet does the SACC put the blame? Because I'll read verbatim from one of your slides during your launch yesterday, and you say the architecture of these criminal designs includes the patronage machine of the governing party and deployment for benefit as upright civil servants are replaced in targeted, lucrative corruption sites. Are you blaming the governing party here?
We are saying, as all of us in some way must take responsibility for the rot that is taking place in our country. But at the center of that is the understanding that those who've got access to public resources bear a special responsibility, because they are the ones who are trusted by society to protect our resources, to make sure that they dispense our resources responsibly in a manner that is consistent with the values that we all aspire to. And we are therefore saying those who've got access to power, and experience has taught us that those who've got access to power are sometimes the ones who are at the center of this unraveling of our moral character and the use of our resources. Therefore, those who govern have a special responsibility because they're entrusted with the resources of the nation. And therefore, we have to look at them in the eye and speak straight to them and say to them, we expected better. Your behavior is not what we as South Africans trusted you to do. But we want to go further. We want to say the culture will only succeed when good people, whatever organization they find themselves in, keep silent. We are saying as the SACC, we have it in our own hands as South Africans to change that culture. You and I, in the spaces we operate in, have the special responsibility to say, in this September Heritage Month, corruption is not our heritage. We are going to put a different heritage. Indeed, we will not mince our words against those who deserve to be charged, those who deserve to go to jail, those who steal from our people. Those people need to be held accountable. But ultimately, the biggest defender of our country and our culture is you and I, doing what needs to be done to stop corruption.
Reverend, we thank you very much indeed for your time and perspective. Be well, sir. God bless.
Thank you, sir.
All right, that was Reverend Mzwandile Molo.